Hi, so thanks for tuning in for another episode of Creepy Christmas, my Vlogmas project. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to tune in. I really hope that you like the story that I'm going to be reading for you today. Make sure that you check out the author's links in the description and subscribe if you want to catch future creepy stories for the month of December. The piece that I'll be reading for you today is Santa Jaws by Rebecca Kolodziej. The snow carpeted the ground that night. I had chosen my timing carefully, stood outside of their grotesquely lit Christmas window, watching the family inside as they prepared for sleep. It was a cold Christmas Eve. I remembered that much, but most of all, I remember envying the bastards for the roaring fire that burned cozily in the hearth of the family home. Ah, what I would have given to stand beside that heated glory, but time waits for no man. I had a plan. Sneak in through the open back window at the rear of the house. I had the youngest child to thank for that. She was still hung up on the whole Santa is real bullshit. Well, who was I to deny the poor child? She wanted Santa, and I wanted to slaughter her family dressed as a man in the bright red suit. It was a win-win situation, yet, even as I thought about burying my knife deep into their throats, something told me they would still die with a smile on their faces just to annoy me. I had waited for the lights to go out to make my move. Ever wondered what goes through a maniac's head before the kill? Well, I can tell you straight off the bat that you don't think about anything except the kill. I prowled the quiet house, my only source of light being cast from the flickering lights of the nearby Christmas tree. It was a sickening sight. All the holly-jolly Christmas traditions. What did you do once you were inside the house? I paid the kids a visit. They were expecting Santa, so Santa was going to show his face. They were sleeping soundly when I had entered their bedroom. There was a single miniature fiber-optic Christmas tree perched upon the windowsill. A nightlight, I surmised. I stood at the end of their beds, watching them for a moment, waiting to put my plan into motion, and then it happened. What happened? They awoke. Two little girls sitting upright in their beds, looking at the man in the red suit. What did the children do when they realized that Santa had come to visit them? What would a child do? A bright smile danced across their youthful faces. The youngest bounded happily towards me and hugged me tight. "Santa," she squeaked excitedly in her childlike voice. "I knew you would come. See, Bella, I told you he was real." The eldest of the two was more skeptical of my presence. "Santa, why do you have a knife in your hand?" she asked me in a low, uncertain voice. What was your reply? "Santa wants to play a game," I replied to the eldest child, extending my hand out towards her. "But first, we must go get your mommy and daddy to play with us. Would you like that?" "Yay!" the youngest girl exclaimed happily as she grabbed my hand. She turned her own small hand out towards her still abed sister. "Come on, Belle, let's go get mommy and daddy." "And did you go get mommy and daddy?" "Yes, they were very obedient." "What happened after that?" I revealed my true intentions. The mother, bless her, was very compliant despite her hysterical screams. The father was more of a challenge, but he fell into place after I asserted my authority. By now the girls were screaming in terror, shrill shrieks that sounded like music to my ears. "What did you do with the family?" "I bound them to 4 of the dining room chairs and placed them in the center of the room so I could stare into each and every one of their tear-stained faces with glee." "Why?" "Why not? Do I have to have a reason for something so innocent as eyeballing my participants?" "I wouldn't call your crime as innocent, but rather malicious. You slaughtered the family in cold blood. And for what?" "Revenge." "So, what did you proceed to do next?" "I played a game with them, just as I'd promised. I took off the duct tape from the mother and father's mouths and proceeded to explain the rules." "What were the rules?" "They both get to answer 3 questions. They have to answer these questions correctly, or otherwise things would get messy." "What happened if they didn't?" Then I would begin to take a piece of them bit by bit until they realized who I was. What was the first question? I asked them why I hated Christmas. The mother immediately began to beg and plead for me to stop, that she didn't know why I resented the fucking holiday season. Please, she cried, please stop. Please just let us go. We're good people. But my knife was already pointing at her throat as a reminder of what I would do if she didn't shut her trap. Answer my question, and I will let you live, I lied to her. And did she answer correctly? No. What did you do? I skinned her fingers until they were nothing but bleeding cartilage and bone. And then? I continued to question them until I had no other option but to show them I meant business. They were taking me for a fool. What did you do? I pulled the father off the chair and dragged him firmly into the center of the living room floor. My red-suited arm was wrapped tightly around his throat, choking his airways. If the adults of the situation were not going to comply with my game, then I had only one other option, the kids. What did you do with the children? I asked them a very simple question. It was no mystery that by now they had noticed my sharp, piranha-like teeth. What was the question? Why am I called Santa Jaws? What happened then? The youngest child began to cry and weep for her mother, ignoring my question completely, so I had no other choice but to show them why I was called Santa Jaws. What did you do? With one swift movement, I bit down onto the father's tender flesh, and bit down with my jagged teeth, tearing his throat out. The sound, a wet, sickening sound, his blood and flesh spewing from my mouth in thick, stringy chunks. The sound of his screams filled me with a sensation that I had not felt for a long time, a feeling of accomplishment, belonging. From outside the window of where the brutal massacre took place, Christmas carolers sang in a sweet, angelic voice the verse of Silent Night, Holy Night, unaware that I was bringing death to all those who had denied me at Christmas. Why did you target the Mary family? Why those innocent people? Well, I had to start with my family, didn't I? After all, it was Christmas. So yeah, that was delightfully morbid. Thanks for checking out Creepy Christmas. Make sure that you click the links in the description to see more from this writer, and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more spooky Christmas tales.